8:08 AM on this Tuesday morning's OTB AM, and on the back pages of plenty of the papers this morning, some beautiful images of the Munster celebrations after winning the URC, the first trophy for Munster in 12 years. Back at the Irish Daily Mail there, Munster faithful salute their heroes. Lovely sunny evening in Thomond Park. Plenty of sunglasses, I'm sure, hiding some tired and possibly hungover eyes from a multitude of the Munster players, and well deserved. Thousands of Munster fans in Thomond Park. We actually have a video here. This is from the Munster Rugby official Instagram account and captures just some of the celebrations last night. Have a look. We're going to keep the mics up. Look at that, lads.
Yeah, that is pretty class, and got the weather as well. Going back a long time, Quinny, for anything like what we're talking 12 years, like any scenes like this in Thomond Park, we going back a long time.
Yeah, it wasn't expected, Johnny. I think.
What odds would you have gotten at the start of the season? Leinster win nothing and Munster win more than they do.
I don't know, it'd be a bit crazy really, but unexpected, but it probably makes it a little bit more sweeter. You know, they've been in a couple of finals since 2011-12 season, and 2017 I thought they'd win it against the Scarlets. They were in a strong position there. They were pretty showed a good bit of form in the build up to that, and in Europe as well, and they got walloped by the Scarlets. 2015 against Glasgow and Belfast, again optimism there. You can beat Glasgow. Glasgow were brilliant, blew them away, and I think two years ago against Leinster when there was no crowds, they were dominated. They never fired a shot in that game. That was actually a very frustrating one for me 2 years ago. I was at the game. There was no crowds, and it was probably in the manner in which they played.
Yeah.
And I think if you take some of those players out now who maybe were playing or involved, and you asked them to separate what's different now, and you know, is it more enjoyable? I'd say it's like night and day really, because in that final they never fired a shot. They're box kicking a lot. No expansive style to their game. No. Of course, they're trying their hearts out and they're trying to contain a Leinster side that day. But you look at Saturday and you think, God, even when they went behind,
you always felt that they were there.
You feel that they feel now that they can hurt oppositions, they can go after them. So the way they've attacked all season has been remarkable. I think the start is well documented. When you lose 5 of your first 7 games in any league or any sport, you're not being considered as a league contender. So yeah, I think as well, and the players and coaches have acknowledged it remarkably well. The fans have been through a lot of torment, and you know, they keep spending the money and they keep going and travelling.
You were in Cape Town. What was the atmosphere like amongst the Munster?
Yeah, it was remarkable. It was amazing to see so many there and so vocal. And just the excitement and the passion they showed, and you know, it had a real surreal feeling about it. The weather was horrendous there on Thursday. It was lashing rain all day, but people were jovial and confident, and we had an event on Friday night where some of the Munster party came in, the coaches, and it was a lovely event, and you just had a sense that they were going to kind of die with their boots on. They were going to throw everything at it, and you feel there's a different feel about this group and this players. So they've built something. They deserve the credit themselves, between the coaches and the players, and you know, anyone who coaches a team, you know. And I always say to my own son, it's about togetherness, and you know, that's the remarkable thing about sport is sometimes you may not be the best and most skillful and most talented group, and I'm not saying that to be any way disrespectful, but their collective recently has been phenomenal, and they've been really brought together by the challenges of going away. Like 6-7 weeks ago, we're looking at doom and gloom. Glasgow wallop them in Thomond Park. They're 29-0 down at half time. There's an eerie silence. They needed to win that game at the time. We're thinking it's a home game to get into the playoffs, maybe looking at top 4, which would be a brilliant return. Top 4 scenario, be knocked out in the playoffs and qualify for Europe. a lot of boxes ticked. New coaching team, progress made, safety and kind of Champions League qualification for next season. They lose that game. It's doom and gloom. You're heading to South Africa. You're going playing the Stormers, the current champions, and the Sharks, who walloped them in the Champions Cup. And you're thinking, wow,
trouble. We're
in trouble here. We could be 7th or 8th here in the league, and then 7th or 8th possibly wasn't making Europe. 8th didn't make Europe because of the pool qualifications from the other countries, and so it wasn't looking good. So what they did is they had to kind of really galvanise, pull together. Obviously had to play as well, and they learned a lot from the trip to the Sharks, really about not being loose, making sure you stop their maul at source, trying to get your set piece better than what it was, breakdown issues. Like if you go to that Sharks game in the Champions Cup and you look at the difference in the breakdown to Saturday night, my God, it was just phenomenal. Even watching the game back, like every single player in the field, their energy and reaction to clean out a Stormers player if there's a poacher coming in, or if there's a danger, even the counter ruck, and to be so strong in their position, their body language. So it's remarkable, and I think they're the things that I look back on when I watch the game again. Jack Crowley going in cleaning out breakdowns, like one player at times, like just been so strong. Gavin Coombs there, he blocks down Manny Lebok at the end of the game, 73rd minute. Like, again, these are little things that you can take out of work rate, honesty, passion, desire, stuff that I've always said is an integral part of the jersey, and I still believe that, and I'll never change. I'm not saying I was perfect with it all the time. I wasn't. I was often, and needed to, you need to get the emotion right. But I just see Gavin Coombs, and people have questioned him at times. Is he going to be good enough? Does he have the minerals to step up and challenge? Well, I tell you, in recent weeks, he has shown some balls.
Answered
some
questions.
Fire, some passion. The carries, the clean outs, the work off the ball. And I'm sure that's what the Irish coaches have told him. This is the stuff you need to get better at.
That thing about the Sharks game and Munster's improvement since, the South African teams seem to have brought the rest of the teams in the URC to another level.
Well, they've made sure that they're literally saying to the South African teams, if you come in a little bit airy-fairy and you're a bit off it, we're going to smash you wide open. So they make you really focus. And when I said that was a big learning point in the Champions Cup, Munster were just getting counter-rucked, they were getting driven off the ball, they were getting turned over, loose ball, try, a concession, all that kind of stuff. The accuracy and the detail around their breakdown recently has been superb. Like as I said, if you watch the game back, some of the clean outs, the possession, the way they've held on to the ball. One of the stats going into the final was again, and it's remarkable, Munster have had the most rucks in the URC this year.
Right.
Again, if you're not scoring, does it really matter if you're holding on to the ball? But they've shown and proved that they're trying to play, and they're trying to go at teams, and there's multiple ruck situations where they're just holding on to the ball. So they've improved remarkably, and there's players here that I genuinely, and I think they can understand it too. Some people would have questioned, are they good enough for this level? Do they have what it takes to challenge, and step up against other international players, particularly in Europe? But that URC scenario, that's as close, you're getting up there now to test match level. The intensity of that game was unbelievable. So there's a lot of them have really given themselves a real shot in the arm as regards putting their hands up for selection maybe today when Andy Farrell names his squad, but also kind of telling people, I have it, I can do something here. There's certain parts of my game need to be better, but I think the real fundamentals are that energy and that accuracy around. You look at someone like Gary Ringrose, just the way, what a natural talent. But you look at Gary Ringrose's biggest strengths nowadays, there's all that defensive work, it's the tackling, it's the cleaning out of breakdowns. And I think some of these players, Munster players, are starting to realise this is okay. I can be nice and skillful and I can do well, but this is the stuff that I can really get better at, and they've shown it. Gavin Coombs, a prime example, a wonderful player, very talented, unbelievably big, powerful, biggest strength, scores loads of tries, but honestly, see him the other day cleaning breakdowns out, knocking two Stormers guys away from the ball. You know, they had Dion Free playing, they picked him for a reason. He's the turnover machine. I'm not sure he got one turnover. I don't think he got any in the game. So their accuracy around the breakdown was phenomenal. You know, the way they held on to that ball in the first half. You know, I've criticised Munster before, Shane. I've got flack for it.
You've had to this season.
And it isn't a kind of a sob story scenario that I'm looking for anything back from it. They've frustrated me. They've frustrated some of the other Munster fans, and some of it maybe over the top, some of it justified, whatever people's views are on that, and I got no pleasure in any way out of that. I love Munster and they're my team, and when you play that long for me, it doesn't ever change. I watched the Kevin Moran programme last night on RTE about Manchester United, and I was just going, it's, you know, the way he goes back, and it's in you, whatever your team is, your team, that's it. And but I think what we've seen in the last 7 or 8 months really has given the whole organisation a shot in the arm, and the coaches have been central to that.
On that, do you think that, like, the players bought into Roundtree even at the start, when they were like, okay, we're changing something here, let's trust him, and there was a togetherness there where they felt that they were on a journey where this will improve?
Yeah, I was always pro giving Raymond Roundtree the job, because I think he obviously was there with the last group of coaches, but I think he's a people's guy as well, you know what I mean? He's really connected with the fans and that stuff. He's making a lot of effort to kind of engage, fan engagement and stuff like that. He knows the similarities with his club Leicester, and he had great battles with them in Europe over the years. And he feels that that's an important part of it, which it is. You know, the Munster fans have been phenomenal, and the way they travel again. But I think he's done a great job. I think he obviously gets the players and they respect him. Even, you know, throughout the whole season, it's been a very happy camp. And it's not necessarily that they've been winning all the time. The start of the competition, Johnny, 5 losses and 7, and the 2 wins out of that were one against Zebra down in Cork, and they scored 3 tries, and it was very underwhelming performance. And the other one was the Bulls in Thomond Park, which was better, but you know, there's been some really disappointing ones at the start. You know, after they beat the Bulls, they lost to Leinster, and then at home to Ulster, and you're thinking the doom and gloom is back a little bit. But there's by no means are they a finished article or anything, and the reality here is, you know, Leinster opened the door here.
Yeah.
And Munster went right through it. You know,
was it November in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, that South Africa A match? Was that the turning point?
I was there for that, and I did commentary for that game, and I really think I saw. Do you know the way sometimes you get a feeling that there's something there that needs to be tapped into, and I just saw them. I saw the start of a culmination of maybe what they were trying to do on the training pitch was starting to come into fruition. A bit of a togetherness. You have 2 wingers who've played all season, mostly Nash and Daly, and they've been outstanding.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was so brilliant to see Keith coming off the bench and being involved. A couple of weeks ago in the Stormers, we thought his career was done and over with the injury, and that he wouldn't come back and play for Munster. Everyone was so delighted to get on the field and be involved. But the 2 wingers this year have been absolutely brilliant. Coming in off their wings, being playmakers. We're crying out for that for a couple of years. But that South African game, and I think Shane Daly scored in that match as well. They were. It was the start of something, and the evidence is there given the results, because they following week they beat Connacht at home.
Yeah. They
then went to Edinburgh the start of December. Edinburgh had all their internationals back from the November internationals, and I was gone. It's going to be a tough one. If you picked up something here, even a losing bonus point, they have to scramble for every point now, given the start they had. They beat Edinburgh 38-17, and that one is not talked about a lot, but I think that's up there. I know Edinburgh have had a very topsy-turvy season, but there was so many Scottish internationals in that team that night, and Munster were brilliant. They then went to they lost at home to Toulouse in the Champions Cup 18-13, which was a bit of a hammer blow for them. They could have easily won that game at Thomond Park, but then they went to Northampton, won away there, at home at Christmas. I think the Leinster one was right there for them to win.
Yeah.
And but Leinster were brilliant to get the result. They beat them 2019, and then they go to Belfast. The one in Belfast is talked about a fair bit. The try late on to win that game. So they've shown a lot of character and fight. So that does, obviously it comes from players within, but it also comes from coaches giving you confidence. And Andy Kiriakou, Mike Prendergast and Dennis Leamy, they've done a great job. There's a smile on the players' faces, and they've got progressively better throughout the season. I remember talking to to Prendy after the Glasgow game, and they were in shock as well a few weeks ago. But I think part and parcel of, and people probably look, what's the pivotal moment here? Maybe it's that Glasgow game.
Yeah.
Maybe it's they had their off night, that they kind of turned up to the game and thought, we've been on a nice little run here. We've a chance now. We beat Glasgow, and we're safe. We don't have to get Anton Reilly in South Africa then if we get 5 points here against Glasgow. They got to kick up the backside, didn't they? You know, a real wake up call. And you talk about emotion and attitude and having that. It can happen any team. Really good teams even have that moment during the season that they were just not at it. And
it's that word you use there, togetherness, when you talk about even the link between the players and the fans. Almost was a disconnect before the South Africa A game, and before that you put up a great tweet last night, and we were talking about the scenes in Thomond Park yesterday. You said, if anyone spots my mum in Thomond Park tonight, tell her to go home. She's only back from Cape Town this morning and on the tear again. She told me earlier that she was very tired of going to bed early, and then I get sent pictures of her in the middle of it, and Rog replies, Mary is more cracked than you.
Well, I knew Rog would come back with that. Rog always slagged me, and I was better than I was she's more cracked than me, because I had to always mind Ronan and put him to bed and stuff when he went wild.
Would that be his side of the story as well, or?
He knows I watched him, and maybe that was a bad thing, because he knew I'd make sure he got home to bed safe and minded him. But you know what? There's more mums like my mum out there that it means a lot to them, and I think I got emotional on Saturday in commentary, because it is very special. And look, none of us are feeling, God, we're back. We're going to win the European Cup next year. We're going to win the league. The challenge for them now, and you know what? So be it. Enjoy the moment now, because this is a story of real kind of resilience as well. And if you lose 7 games in the league and draw 1, so out of 18 games you've won 10 games, and you've really just roll up your sleeve, finish 5th, and to come from where they came from, even Glasgow away there in that quarter final, they've shown a doggedness here that they're great things that you can have. If you have all the skills in the world and you're lacking heart and passion, well, it's hard to kind of build that in a team. So a lot of the good fundamentals are there. Of course, they've got to get better and develop, and there's still more depth needed in certain areas of the team. So there's no one going to get carried away here and think that this is now Munster back and they're going to win European Cups and URCs every year. They've got to work hard on it. But the lovely part about this, Shane, is they have reconnected with the fans. They've given a little bit of joy and hope. And I met people in Cape Town who I remember when I made my debut back in 96, 97 Munster, who were part of a tiny cohort of people who went to Cardiff, to Harlequins, to those first European games that I played in 1997. So to see those people still there, they've aged a bit, we all have, but it's special for them. So it was really good to see it. And I think, I keep saying it, Graham Rowntree and the whole group deserve massive credit, because they were unfit at the start of the season for the type of game they were trying to play, and they got it right. So not just the coaches, but the fitness people and all the backroom, Steve, there's a big effort gone in there, really with your backs against the wall. So I'll say it again, Leinster opened the door here with the semi-final. okay, if Leinster picked a full team, it's highly unlikely. But what we've seen from this team and the fight that they've shown, who knows?
Munster were missing players as well. It has to be like only a few players, but
they were missing kind of crucial players. But there's so many players in this group who've really enhanced themselves, and put themselves in a place where they can now kind of walk with their chests around a little bit, which is great for the first pre-season in a long time.
We're bang out of time, Connie, but briefly, just the Irish squad being named today, the 45-man squad, so that'll be a course cut to 33 for the World Cup. But really, if you're not picked in the 45 today, then your chances of playing the World Cup are slim. So the likes of Hodnett, Nash, Klein, would you expect them to be included?
I don't know about expected, but I think they should be. Shane Daly, Calvin Nash, John Klein for me has been unbelievable, and I think he deserves another shot at it. I think he's been dismissed after 2019. He started 18 or 19 games this year, and his skills have improved dramatically. His work rate is through the roof, and I think he deserves a shot at it. John Hodnett, Gavin Coombs, Mike Haley had a great game the other day. There's a lot of competition for sure, but there's certainly guys here, as I said, that played the other day that Andy Farrell and his coaches would look at and say, right, okay, that's a high level now. John Hodnett out in that field looked like a machine. He's chopping tackles, and they're Springboks. They're big, strong, powerful guys. He's charging up the wing. He scores a brilliant try. So, yeah, there's a couple of players here who definitely will feel very hard done by, and it'll be a shame if they're not in the mix. And I keep saying it, John Klein, he should be in there.
Yeah, we'll keep a good eye on that squad. It'll be fascinating to see what 45 players Andy Farrell opts for later on today. Quinny, great stuff. Thanks for coming in as per usual.